I beg you to send me them biscuits before we start. Ah, yeah, come on. Oh, don't forget the Thai sweet chili. Yeah. Who?
Maradona.
Maradona?
Have you seen it?
That's not Maradona.
That's him, man.
Oh, he's looking burro. No.
You don't want them, man.
Yeah, nah. Nah, it's cool, man. You take them back.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. You can take them back. Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of A Dash of Sports, episode 8. I'll be your host and presenter, Dashiki Dash, and on this show is where I talk all things sports related, hot topics and trending stories. And if you like the previous episodes, hey, give us a like, comment and subscribe. And oh yeah, don't forget to share it. And on today's show, I'm going to be kicking off with the Premier League, talking about the players' fitness post-lockdown, what kind of shape they're in, and also their preparation for the restart of the season. And also, did we bear witness on what I can best describe as a teaser, a spoiler on how the Premier League will look like when it restarts, with an 11v11 All-Spurs game and Arsenal versus Charlton. And moving on out to the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund's midfielder Jadon Sancho fined for a haircut. Fined for a haircut? I just want to know how much this fine was, because that must have been one expensive trim. Sticking with German football, Dortmund and Bayern Munich continue showing their support for the Black Lives Matter movement by wearing t-shirts and armbands before and during the game amid heavy continued protest in Germany. Moving on to some trending stories, Anthony Joshua spotted at the protest with an injury. Now, I didn't even know that he was injured, but it's good to see him out there getting his voice heard and actually making a difference. Now, with that being said, he's not the only sportsman that's been spotted out and about protesting. In fact, we've had Premier League and League One stars Tyrone Mings and the beast himself, Jadon Akinfenwa, who've been out supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, which has been really good to see. Moving on to the world of basketball with former Chicago Bulls player and NBA legend Michael Jordan, who has been reported that he will be donating $100 million to a charity to fight for racial equality. 100 million. That's a lot of money. But hey, more to be discussed on the Dash of Sports. Now, before I start, I just wanted to say, am I the only one that's been thinking that this lockdown period has been either a blessing or a curse? Now, I'm not talking about the coronavirus or the pandemic. I'm just merely talking about the time that we've had off. Where there's some of us that probably would have taken the time to work on our fitness or our physical attributes, there's others that may have taken the time to probably chill or, like me, work on my brand new show. But I could see how easy it could be to neglect yourself, because I often thought about how the players were coping during the lockdown period, and look, some of them have come back a bit podgy and, you know, a tad overweight. So kicking off with Harry Kane, as you can see on his Instagram post, and what I can best describe as a shooting drill that he's going through right now. And if you notice, he got a bit of weight in the gut area, looked like he put in a few pounds. But listen, take nothing away from him though. He's still got an eye for a goal, still looking sharp, still tucking it away. But what I would say for him, he's been injured for a long period of time, so you can't really blame him if that's been the case of putting a bit of weight. His rehab is never going to be easy doing it at home. So you need to be at the training center, you need to be training. So this lockdown period has probably been quite challenging for him. And moving on to another Premier League star in Luke Shaw, who has been reported that he also returned back to training, a little overweight as well, but that's no surprise when it comes to him, because he usually finds it quite a challenge to maintain his weight. So are we putting that down to the lockdown, or is it just Luke Shaw? Who knows? Now, the one that surprised me was the Citizens' own Kevin De Bruyne, who ended up reporting back to training what I can best say is a bit of weight. There should be no excuses, really. Really? You know, you're training at home, you got the regime going. I was hearing that there was fat fines, GPS monitors, workout videos at home, online workouts. So there should be no excuses really to report back to training overweight. Unless the managers turned around and said, you know what, during this period of time, chill out, relax, put your feet up. Which we did see him in an interview when he was using his kids as leg weights and just chilling. You look kind of relaxed. Didn't seem too focused about football at the time. But hey, maybe, who knows? This lockdown period maybe have been more challenging than we thought. Well, it's not just in the Premier League where the players are looking kind of out of shape post-lockdown. Heading over to Spain, Barcelona forward Luis Suarez was spotted outside their training ground car park, looking a tad overweight. But, you know, I'll give him his excuse as well. He's also been battling a knee injury. So once again, you know, with the lockdown situation, it hasn't really helped in regards to really pushing himself with his rehab. So challenging times for these footballers, but is it just excuses or should they be doing better? And then moving on out to Italy with Mario Balotelli, who remembers his goal celebration in the Euro 2012 where he was flexing. That was prime example of Mr. No Days Off when it comes to the gym. Now, I know that was a while ago. I know. But forward yourself to 2020, post-lockdown, and you can see, he's putting a bit of timber, even to the point where recently the president of Brescia has called him out by saying, Mario is a particular guy and it's clear his mind is no longer with us. Even the La Gazzetta, which is a sports daily newspaper, claimed that he returned back to training about 7 pounds overweight. Now, you know, we all know the kind of flack that he gets back in Italy and most places he's at. But one thing that I will say about Balotelli is, from what we've seen throughout his career, if he's not highly motivated to do something, if he's not really interested, the president of Brescia might be right on that his mind's not really on it. So hence why he's returned back, you know, a tad overweight. And even this one caught me by surprise. In Germany, Borussia Dortmund's star boy Jadon Sancho, he looked a bit weighty, you know. He looked a bit weighty on his return back to training, and he actually missed the first game, which they put it down to an injury or a niggling injury that he had, but the word on the street was that he was actually fighting for his fitness. Yet again, another high-profile player that's returned back to his club looking like neglected the training. I don't know, man. This lockdown has definitely had an effect on them. But since his return, hey, he's been on fire. So I doubt anybody will be holding a grudge for a little bit of excess. And then we've got the freak of nature himself, Mr. CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, who at 35, which is not old in normal years, but in footballing years, you know, you're quite late into your career, still putting in the work. I've seen him do like hill sprints, like his workouts at home, training with his family. And then when they finally returned back to training post-lockdown, he actually attended one of the sessions about 4 to 5 hours early just to get in some extra work. Now, listen, this is why I consider this guy one of the GOATs, because even at this point of time, he's still putting in the time, putting in the work. And this is what's kept him at this elite level for so long. Now, I'm not just saying that Cristiano Ronaldo is the only player that's been out there, well, indoors, training and keeping himself in shape. Mind you, the players that I did mention, especially the ones from the Premier League, they've actually been back to training since May the 19th, which has been a few weeks now. So by now, they would have definitely caught up with their fitness and gotten into shape. But let me know what you think, because this wasn't an off-season period where you could just chill out and relax and do what you want. So unless you was given permission, direct instructions, or you had a real valid reason, maybe an injury or anything like that, then I don't think players should be coming back, returning back to their clubs, you know, overweight and podgy and just not looking fit. So what do you think? Put your comments down below. Do you agree or do you disagree? Like I mentioned, the Premier League players have actually been back in training for a few weeks now. In fact, over the weekend I watched an all Spurs 11v11 where it looks like Spurs have actually got all their players back, you know, injured players like Kane, Steven Bergwijn, and also Son, who was away on military service. So it was a bit of a weird game because it's just a training game. But what I was most paying attention to was, like, you know, the eerie sound of nothing. No one in the stands, and you can just literally hear all of the players like giving each other instructions, telling each other to shoot, finish. That was real weird, and it just made me think, is this what we're gonna be watching when the Premier League returns? Moving on up to their North London rivals Arsenal, who were also in their friendly match against Charlton at the Emirates Stadium. And once again, just giving the opportunity for us to watch the players, trying to see who's fit, who's looking sharp, but at the same time, just going back to the same thing. Just watching the background, looking at the empty seats, listening to the players give instructions, shouting, the manager shouting from the touchline. So I can't help but just wonder, is this what it's gonna be like? But listen, I give you advice. If you want to kind of change your experience, try and watch these football matches on US television, because I think on there, that's where they're going to be adding like the crowd noise a little bit. And I've watched it with the Bundesliga, and I'm going to tell you this, it actually does make a difference. So I'm going to be speaking about this on another show just to give you more understanding of what that is actually like. So stay tuned for that one. Moving on to some trending stories, we're going to start off with Jadon Sancho, who got fined for having a home haircut. Look how things can change in a week. Last week was praising him for having his message on his shirt in support of George Floyd, and this week he's getting fined for a home haircut. Now, it seems like nothing, because when I first heard it, I was like, what? Fined for having a haircut at home? But when I break it down, you're going to understand why. Now, Sancho had a private barber that came to his house to give him a trim. And as you do nowadays with the social media, he put it up there, actually documenting it, filming it, taking pictures. But the only thing was that both himself and his barber were not wearing a mask. Now the German league caught wind of this, have seen the pictures, seen the footage, and had no choice but to fine him. He wasn't the only player though. The England forward's teammate, Manuel Kanji, who was also fined, as it was deemed that he also broke the rules. So the league said that the players had obviously violated the general hygiene and infection protection standards, which I'm guessing they would have been told all of this before they restarted the league. Sancho came out to criticise the decision in a Twitter post by saying that the fine was an absolute joke, but later had to delete it because, you know, he doesn't want another fine on top of a fine. And even Dortmund came out in defence of the players, saying that they didn't breach or break any health and safety rules during their haircut. It's going to be a tough one because there's strict rules in Germany right now. Even if you're getting a trim, the barber and the customer have to wear a mask. Because you can imagine, like, you know, mask, you're getting a trim, yeah, the barber's talking, hair particles going in the barber's nose, and then heads, yeah! You don't want none of that. So when you're initially hearing the headline, oh, Sancho's been fined for getting a haircut at home, you think to yourself, what is going on now? I thought it was just a case where, maybe they didn't get him in regards to the fine because of the t-shirt that he wore last week, so they're just trying to get him for any other reason. But there's valid points with the fine. You got to wear a mask. These footballers, they're already putting themselves out there front line by playing football, so everything is quite strict in how they move and where they're moving about, their interactions, who they're meeting. So if he's gonna have a haircut, which he's allowed to do so, when the barber comes to his house, he's got to wear a mask. Jadon Sancho has to wear a mask. And what I will say is, start putting your whole life on social media. This is a lesson learned, man. Even Emre Can was saying, you know, like, you can't be making this mistake again. He's gonna have to learn from it. He's gonna have to grow, and just know for next time, listen, man, no one's gonna know what you're doing behind closed doors. Just don't film it, don't put it out there, and don't subject yourself to maybe another fine or anything like that. Oh, damn, 10,000 euros. Listen, I just literally checked that out. 10,000 euros. That's one expensive haircut. Listen, he's got the money, I know, but no player is paying £10,000 for a haircut. That fine, oof. Hey man, do you think it was fair for him to have gotten fined 10,000 or just a fine in general? Should he have just gotten a warning? I'm guessing that all these rules and regulations would have been given to them before the season started, And then it's also backed by the government as well. So it is an actual government rule that all hairdressers that are now reopening, they're gonna have to go under these strict guidelines of wearing masks. So even if it's at your home or in a barber shop or hairdresser, you gotta wear a mask. And he's been deemed to have broken the rules, so he's been fined. But 10,000 euros, that's a lot, man. You think it's fair? Yes or no? Put your comments down below, man, let me know. Now, it's not been all so bad in Germany. In fact, in the last round of games in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich and Dortmund respectively wore armbands and t-shirts in their continued support to fight against racial injustice, with Bayern Munich playing Leverkusen after being 1-0 down, beating them 4-2, with both teams wearing armbands saying Black Lives Matter throughout the whole game. Also, Dortmund wearing t-shirts during their warm-up with different messages, with Jadon Sancho's t-shirt with the slogan "No Justice, No Peace," before Saturday's game against Hertha Berlin. The gestures were actually received really well. In fact, on the day itself, there was tens of thousands of people across Germany that attended an anti-racism demonstration in the wake of the death of George Floyd, which is really good to see that, you know, the footballers are getting involved. And this is really good to see from the players, you know, getting involved, protesting, showing their support to fight against the racial injustice. Because often enough we say, oh, when there's racism in football, we need to kick it out of football. But we also say, you know, it's a social issue, so that needs to be sorted out first before it can be sorted out in football. So it goes hand in hand. So these are serious issues. If there's some sports stars, celebrities or high-end influencers that can use their platforms in terms of raising their awareness, whatever we can, every little helps. And hopefully within time we can get to a point where, you know, in sports racism can be eliminated, and hopefully also in society we can put the fire out on racism, because it's just ridiculous. In related news, Anthony Joshua was spotted injured at a protest, which set a lot of raised eyebrows. Well, Anthony Joshua joined the Black Lives Matter protest in Watford and set an example for other celebrities to follow. Joshua was pictured in a leg brace and currently nursing a knee injury. So in regards to the injury, I'm hearing that it was a slight twinge that he felt during training. So the brace itself is just for precautionary measures, just to not make things worse. In fact, when you think about it, him walking around marching should tell you maybe the injury isn't as bad, but you don't want to make it worse. So in the next couple of weeks, he should be back to training and preparing for the Pula fight. And I'm hearing that soon they're going to be making an announcement in regards to where the fight is going to take place, whether it's going to be in the UK or abroad. Now, it's very inspiring to see Anthony Joshua, the heavyweight champion of the world, out there protesting and standing for what he believes in, despite his elite sporting status. He's not the only sportsman that's been spotted protesting out and about. We've also got Aston Villa defender Tyrone Mings, who attended a 4,000 strong Black Lives Matter protest. And after it was reported that he was in attendance, a statement followed by Mings saying, "I make no apologies for standing up for what I believe in." So it's good to see the sports stars out and about protesting and really standing up for what they believe. We even had Jadon Akinfenwa, who was in attendance, marching with the people, using his platform to bring awareness to, once again, like I keep saying, the serious issue in regards to racial injustice. And trust me, when you see the big man himself out there like that, it can only be inspiring, because now the mindset is just purely beast mode. We got to take this all the way. And in the world of basketball, NBA legend Mr. Air Jordan himself, Michael Jordan, it's been reported that he'll be donating $100 million to groups that are fighting for racial equality and social justice. The former Chicago Bulls player said in a statement that he and his Jordan brand would distribute the money over 10 years. And the money will go to a number of organizations in a bid to tackle ingrained racism. It's good to see Michael Jordan using his platform as an NBA legend, as a celebrity, and most recently the documentary The Last Dance has been watched by millions of people. So what an opportune time to hit while the iron's hot, while people are actually, you know, paying attention, and he's still very much relevant at the present moment, you know, because a lot of the youngers as well growing up might not 100% know who Michael Jordan is. They might know who Jordan is in terms of the trainers, but not knowing who Jordan is, because nowadays it's either like LeBron James or so on and so on. But Michael Jordan, as now people are paying attention, putting a spotlight on these issues, using his platform to send out the message to the masses. So just big up to Michael Jordan, man, putting his money where his mouth is. Whether or not he's digging in his pockets or his brand pockets, a difference that he's ready and prepared to make. With that being said, I'm going to leave it there for today, but just going to give a quick shout out to all the sportsmen and sportswomen who are using their sporting platforms to bring awareness to racial equality and also to fight against racial injustice. Thanks for watching another episode of A Dash of Sports. I truly appreciate your love and support. And if you need further information about future episodes or just your day-to-day sporting updates, please head over to my Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, which is A Dash of Sports. I'll put it down below here, A Dash of Sports, and I'm also put it in my description. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Now, with that being said, until the next time on A Dash of Sports, peace.